Welcome to a special edition podcast of Toronto Talk Sports and More. I'm your host, Zion Hezekiah. Happy to be joined by Mr. Phil Handy,
Zion, what's up, man?
Former assistant coach of the Toronto Raptors, recently signed with the Los Angeles Lakers, my favorite team. You've been to the NBA Finals 5 straight years. Wow, you're a two-time NBA champion. Congratulations.
Appreciate that, man.
How you living? How's life?
Man, all is good. Can't complain. Just enjoying this off season after that historical run.
It was a historical run. So tell us all about it. What was that whole process like? The whole from start to finish, the playoffs.
Man, it was. I think just going through the whole season here in Toronto, man, just getting a chance to experience the city, the fans, the organization. I had played here plenty of times in the playoffs, being on the other side with the Cavaliers, but having the opportunity to be part of the playoffs here
must have been different.
Oh man, it was amazing. Just the energy, just the and not even in the building, Jurassic Park, just the city.
Oh yeah.
And all of Canada. Like,
very loud, very passionate.
It was like every game that passed, every round that we went through, we just went to another level. It was an awesome experience.
What would you say, Phil, was the most challenging moment of the playoffs, if you have to go? Because the Raptors actually trailed in every series except for the finals against the Warriors.
I mean, Zion, I tell people all the time, in the playoffs it's a long season. It's the first.
It's a marathon.
Yes, it is. It's the first team to 16 wins, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we lost game 1 against Orlando,
as the Raptors usually do. They have
and
history
man,
of losing game
again, being new to that history, there was a lot of people that were just like, "Oh, woe is me." So my mindset to the playoffs is, man, look, never too high, never too low.
Right, just kind of keep.
You take it one game at a time. But we had a lot of ups and downs in the playoffs. Orlando was a tough series.
Yeah, oh yeah.
No, they were tough. They prepared
us.
Team. They prepared us for Philadelphia.
Right.
Philly was a tough series.
And I want to talk about the Philly series because, in my opinion, and no disrespect to Philly, I actually thought that you guys should have finished them in 5-6 at the most. What happened in that series?
Why is that?
I just thought the Raptors are just a much better team. In my opinion, Philly was overrated.
You know what, man?
I mean, they have talent. They're a very talented team.
They're tough.
But
they were physical.
I mean, it took you to the brink. Game number 7, the shot by Kawhi. I mean, one of the most historical moments in playoff history. What were your overall thoughts on that series?
They were a physical team, and they're very big.
Right.
So you take a look at their lineup. At one point, they had Jimmy Butler playing the 1.
Oh yeah.
And you got Ben Simmons playing the 1. Sure. So they're 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" across the board. So they were really physically imposing, and they made it a very physical series. And I think that was probably, in all intents and purposes, that was probably the toughest series that we had.
Right.
Just again, none of them were easy. I mean, Milwaukee was who they were.
Golden
State was who they were.
2-0 against the.
But Philadelphia, man, it really challenged us physically and mentally. We were down 2-1, 3-1, 3-2.
Yeah.
Actually, we had to go to Philadelphia.
That's right.
And win a game.
Right.
And it was a must-win game for us in Game 5. So, being in those situations, man, was I think it really helped us mature.
Absolutely. And what was your reaction? What were your thoughts? That big shot, obviously Kawhi with the ball in his hands, the very end, a buzzer beater to end the series. I mean, we've never seen that before. Like, what went through your mind? What was that like?
I mean, I think that's the first in NBA history.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just here in Toronto, but
right.
Man, I remember,
and especially just the dramatics behind it in terms of the ball bouncing. What was it, 4 times, different parts of the
arena?
Like,
to me,
it was crazy.
The arena just went dark.
Oh yeah.
It was all silent.
Right.
Everything was just kind of dark in the arena, and man, it was just pandemonium after that.
Right.
That was amazing. It's just, again, man, it's just, that is, it's just one of those moments in the playoffs that you just
probably never experienced anything like that.
No, man, those are all historical moments, and man, just really happy for the organization, for the city, even Kawhi too. Just
the fun guy.
Man, just happy that to be a part of that. Absolutely. That was an amazing moment.
It was big.
Yeah.
It was huge, and then obviously from there we went on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Very good.
Milwaukee was tough too. I think we had our challenges with that. I think everybody wrote us off after the first 2 games.
Oh, sure.
But that's what you play for home court advantage for.
First to win 4.
Man, first to win 4. And those first 2 games, Milwaukee really handed us some tough losses. They were prepared.
Absolutely.
They took care of home court advantage. And, and the message from Coach Nurse and And everybody, oh, listen, man, we got to go back to Toronto.
Right.
Now we have to take care of our home court.
Absolutely.
And you know, the rest of the series was history.
For sure. From a strategic standpoint, and obviously from a coaching perspective, what were the adjustments that were made, you know, from Game 3 on? Because obviously, you mean, it was a completely different series.
You know, Giannis,
back to Toronto.
Look, Giannis is the MVP of the league,
right,
for a reason.
Absolutely.
That young kid is extremely talented and just continuing to climb. We had to make adjustments on how we were guarding him.
Right. And it started with Kawhi.
Started with Kawhi. You know, just Kawhi is an ultimate competitor, and you know that's what you play for in the playoffs.
You got the challenge.
You got two players like that that are high level. You know, two of the best players in this league.
Right.
And you know, as a team, collectively, everybody stepped up and took the challenge of saying, "Listen, first and foremost, we have to find out a way to slow this kid down.
Right.
And as you slow him down, you have to find out a way to stop their shooting.
Okay.
You know, so there's so many different multiple facets that they play with.
Right.
I just think the guys really stepped up and took the challenge.
Okay.
You know, our coaching staff, Nick Nurse and Adrian Griffin, and you know, Nate Bjorken and Sergio Scoriola. I think all of us just really put our heads together and tried to figure out ways to help them be successful.
That's what I was going to ask. I would imagine there was some kind of a strategic meeting in between Game 2 and 3 in terms of
our coaching staff. You know, Adrian Griffin and Coach Nurse.
Right.
You know, they were, you know, very, very adamant about just, look, man, let's be creative.
Right,
and how we attack these guys. And
absolutely.
You know, Nick was very good about just not being afraid to try things.
Okay.
That's one thing about Nick, man.
Which you have to do in the playoffs. You have to make adjustments, and you have to take certain.
You have to, and so we had to make adjustments on how we guarded Giannis,
and it worked out. The players executed. I mean,
they executed. They stepped up, and you know, they took the challenge, man.
For sure. So let's talk about the finals real quick here. Obviously, the Golden State Warriors. You won that series. What was that like for you?
Man, anytime, you know, you could be at this level and play in your hometown.
Right. And you
in the NBA Finals.
Advantage.
We
so
did.
That was another unique.
That was my first experience of having home court advantage.
Right, that's right. Yes,
you know,
yes. Always starting on the road.
Previous 4 years in Cleveland, man, we were always on the road.
In Oakland.
In Oakland.
Right.
That's a tough place to play.
Right.
You know, they were injured, not their full team.
Yes.
But you know, man, that's part of playoff basketball.
Play the team
I've been through
front
that.
of you.
Look, I was on the other side of that.
For sure.
In Cleveland when we didn't have Kyrie.
Absolutely.
We didn't have Kevin Love.
Yeah.
And you know, the Warriors still had to beat us.
Oh, for sure.
And it was the same for us, man. They were wounded, but they're still a championship. They're champions.
I mean, they gave it their best shot.
And so we had to execute. We still had to step up and take the challenge, man. It's never easy knocking a champion off the pedestal.
Absolutely.
So that was an awesome experience. Just going back home for me.
Yeah.
Being a part of that and being a part of it here in Toronto, and being able to experience, you know, just playing in front of my family, coaching in front of my family.
Absolutely. And you guys were actually 3-0 in Oakland, so you won all of the road games in that series, that's pretty remarkable. You don't see that very often.
You know, again,
I figured that the Warriors would have at least, I mean, despite their injuries, would have at least won one game in their building. But
man, that's a testament to these guys, man. They were ready to play.
Right.
You know, a lot of ways, man, I think we were a little bit of a better team on the road.
Okay.
In some aspects.
Right. A little bit more relaxed.
Just guys where I think they were a little bit more locked in, a little bit more focused on the task at hand. And again, not that families are a distraction, but you know, sometimes when you're home, your friends,
it's a little
people
bit
have a lot more access to you.
Right.
When you get on the road in the playoffs, you tend to kind of be in your room a lot more
you
focused.
Focus a little bit more.
Yeah, you focus, and they were prepared, man. They were focused.
Very good, very good. So let's fast forward a little bit. I believe it was June 30th, so the end of June, moving into July 1st, free agency. Huge frenzy in the NBA, probably more movement than we've ever seen, particularly with star players.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to Brooklyn, Jimmy Butler, Miami, Kemba Walker, the Celtics. And then, of course, the big one, you know, days later, maybe even a week later, Kawhi Leonard, obviously, to the Clippers. From your perspective, Phil, you know, from a fan, I think sometimes we forget, I mean, obviously you're directly associated with the league, but just from a fan's perspective, what was that like? I'm sure you get the same notifications that we do on your phone in terms of, this guy's going here, this guy's going here. Like, what was that like? Just as a fan
or no fan, I think we were all just,
right.
You know, as those things were coming across the timeline, I was like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what? But, you know, I think that makes the NBA exciting.
Right.
Like I think everybody is looking forward to this coming season.
Right on.
Because there's no clear-cut favorite.
Oh, absolutely. There's probably 7 or 8 teams.
Man, there are 7 or 8 teams that can legitimately compete for a championship. So you have all this movement, and it's not just like you said. These are marquee guys.
Right.
You know, high-level guys.
Absolutely.
Free agency was pretty. It was pretty.
We've never seen
it was
like this.
It was like jaw dropping. You saw a lot of NBA guys tweeting like, "Man,
Absolutely.
only in the NBA."
I mean, throughout the day, I was constantly checking my phone. You don't want to miss what's going on.
No question, man. I think you can take any storyline you want.
Right.
From Kyrie to KD to Kimba to Kawhi to Paul George, man, to AD.
Absolutely.
You know,
I mean, look at the Houston Rockets. Russell
Westbrook, Paul. Chris Paul. Listen, man. There's Russell going to the Warriors.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's all these different pieces, man.
For sure.
I think a lot of people are writing the Warriors off. For instance,
I said that on our pod not too long ago.
Listen, man.
They still have that championship pedigree. They still have the 3 foundation guys. Draymond. Obviously, Clay is banged up.
Yeah, but D'Angelo Russell's a young star coming into his own.
Offensively.
So. There's these dynamics, man. It's gonna be real interesting.
Like Utah in the Western Conference, Denver Nuggets, Portland's obviously still always in the mix. So Houston now, they're different. So
it's gonna be tough, man.
It's gonna be very fun. I'm so excited. I'm sure you are, obviously.
It's a different look.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a different look, man. I've been in the Eastern Conference for the last 5 years.
Right.
And I started with the Lakers.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that. So I believe it was announced July the 14th. It was officially announced that you had signed with the Los Angeles Lakers as an assistant coach. So talk to us for what went into that process. Obviously, you were with the Raptors for a year. What went into the process of taking your talents to LA?
Man, I think in this business, you always just try to put your best foot forward. And in terms of your work, it's a little bit of a crazy business. You never know what different opportunities are going to come your way. It's very unpredictable. And I had no idea that the Lakers were going to offer me a job opportunity.
But it's a different position apparently than what you're accustomed to. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's a job promotion. It moves me to the front of the bench. So that changes a lot of my responsibilities.
Right. A little bit more hands-on.
And it's just another opportunity for me to continue to learn and grow as a coach.
Absolutely.
In a different environment. But I think people don't understand, like, I would not have that opportunity if I didn't come here to Toronto.
Right, okay.
Like you talk about trying to advance throughout your career. I don't care what career you're in.
Right.
Me coming to Toronto and growing here.
And reuniting with Nick Nurse.
Man, reuniting with Nick and having the opportunity to compete for a championship and ultimately winning a championship.
Absolutely.
I think all of those things play a part in guys being able to advance or get promotions. So without me coming to Toronto, that job opportunity is not possible.
Stuff.
So it's all about growth.
Nice. And you have the opportunity to reunite, of course, with LeBron James, who you coached in Cleveland, and Danny Green, of course, over there. So it should be a fun season. Obviously, Anthony Davis is in the mix now. And
it's definitely a new challenge.
Right.
Man, I looked at the challenge in Toronto as this team has an opportunity to compete for a championship before I came here.
Absolutely.
And I know we talked about that in our interview earlier, but now there's another challenge in front of me.
Absolutely.
To go there and help Coach Vogel and help the Lakers be the best team they can be.
For sure. Now, Phil, I'm a huge Laker fan. I mean, I grew up watching the Lakers, back in the Magic days. What can we expect from the Los Angeles Lakers this year? I remember actually specifically when it was announced that you signed with the Lakers. I remember I texted you. I'm like, Phil, you're my new best friend now. We're best friends now. I love my Lakers, man. So
how did you become a Lakers fan, man?
That's just growing up watching basketball. Magic, Kareem. I was probably maybe 6, 7 at the time. I just fell in love with the Lakers. I was even because obviously when the Raptors came into the league, however many decades later. I never really gravitated towards the Raptors, so I was never really considered myself a Raptor fan. I mean, I was a Bulls fan as well. I was a big Michael Jordan guy.
Yeah.
But I tell people all the time, if you were to cut my arm, my wrist, I bleed.
Wow.
I bleed purple and gold. Like I love the Lakers. Like that's my team. Like I'm a Lakers guy.
Well, I think I think that team is obviously it's a lot of talent.
Right.
And it's going to be a challenge for all of us to. Again, Coach Vogel's at the lead, and it's our job to follow and implement everything that he wants us to implement with the
Absolutely.
team. But I think when you have a guy like Bron,
Oh, yeah.
you have a guy like AD, you have guys like Rondo.
Oh, for sure.
You know, DeMarcus Cousins is extremely talented.
Absolutely.
You know, Caldwell Pope, you know, Danny Green,
big time.
Avery Brad. I mean, that list goes on
yeah. There's
with
some
that
depth there.
team. There's a lot of depth. There's some toughness. You know, it's that's what you want.
Right,
you just
right.
want that opportunity to kind of mix that together and see
Definitely.
if we can compete for a championship.
Absolutely.
And
I
that's the
definitely
goal.
want to see you go to the NBA Finals, Phil, for a 6th straight year. That would
Man.
be amazing to compete.
Man, that would be
I'd love to
unbelievable.
see that.
I would, man, so would I.
That'd
That would
be
be
amazing,
unbelievable. I mean,
for
I
sure.
think that's the goal.
Right. Oh yeah.
You know, you try to just put yourself in a position to accomplish that. So
Big
hopefully
time.
we can have some good success this year.
Absolutely. Now, as we wind down here, Phil, once again, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate your time. Tell our audience about, I see on your hat there, BYOG, so be your own coach. I know you're working with Deuce Brand, so tell us all about that and how we can.
Yeah, man, you know, the BYOG and the Be Your Own Go thing is I think that's something I've tried to use to just inspire
Right.
people. You know, in our sport or in all of these industries, a lot of people talk
Right.
about who's the greatest of all time.
Right.
And I think, to me, I came up with the saying, be your own GOAT, because I think a lot of people look at those guys and they think those are the only people that can strive for
Right.
that kind of level of GOATness.
Absolutely.
I think all of us, yourself, and what you're doing, doctors, lawyers, I don't care. I think there's a certain level
Just
of
kind of
greatness.
be the best that you
Man,
can
every
within
day.
your.
And it just live it.
Right.
Every day. Don't strive for mediocrity. You know,
Absolutely.
I think we all have something in us that can push us beyond the levels that we see every day, and there's greatness in all of us. So I came up with this whole thing, and I really just want to try to push it to help people strive for greater heights.
And where
every day.
can people check you out?
Man, DeuceBrand.com.
All right.
This is
Deuce
all
Brand.
me and Deuce. We've been knocking out this partnership, and it's going really well.
All right.
We got a lot more stuff coming.
Very good.
But you got bands, we got some hats coming, T-shirts,
All right.
simple stuff. But,
Be your own GOAT.
Be your own GOAT, DeuceBrand.com.
All
You
right.
can pick up everything you want.
Good stuff. We'll definitely check it
Yeah,
out. Well, listen, Phil, it's
appreciate
been a
it.
pleasure. I want to wish you the best of luck this upcoming season and in the future with the Lakers and everything that you
Well,
do.
you got an invite. You have an invite to LA. Now I know you believe
Hey,
purple
man,
and
I'm
gold.
with you, man. We're working together.
have
man.
an-
You're
you
going to
have
be
an
hearing a lot
invite.
more from me this season.
Got you.
Phil,
I
it's been a
appreciate it.
pleasure. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much for everything.
Nah, man. Thanks for having me on.
success. All
Appreciate
right,
it.
brother. Thank you for tuning in to our special edition podcast here on Toronto Talk Sports and More. For the love of the six, let's connect.